It's like my first ever podcast ever.
Nice. That's cool.
And you're like, do you want to do it? I'm like, sure.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, dude. It's kind of crazy. Somebody, the AZBJJ league, right?
Yeah.
So somebody sent me a picture. They're like, dude, look at you. You're top 3. And I'm like,
oh, wow.
like in the ultra heavy? And they're like, no, in the state. And I'm like,
oh, wow.
I was like, oh, shit, okay.
Wow, for AZBJJL?
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool.
Gustavo's
for their rankings? Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was like, huh, this is cool.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
Here, top this bad boy on.
Okay, just like this.
Yes, sir.
Sweet.
How's she sound?
Sounds good.
Nice. And then just try to keep the mic maybe about a fist away from your face.
So about like right here.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Cool.
And you feel free to move it around as much as you want. Go up and down. Make yourself comfortable.
Gotcha.
Here, cheers.
Cheers to you, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Cheers to you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, brother. Wow, so number 3 ranking in the state, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, that's it was like so unexpected. Like one of my friends he competes too, he's like, I get a screenshot photo, and I was like, what the fuck? Because I see like my name, and then I'm like, okay, so Gracie Baja guy was like number 2, and then some other guy who is a freaking tryhard. He does all the tournaments each year. He had like 320 points.
Oh, wow.
Me, I was like 190. I'm like, I only did gi state, and that was my first ever gi tournament. Won my weight class. Then I did no gi. Won my weight class, took third in the overall.
Nice.
So I had like 200 points.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good. So they give you points based on your final placement? And
Yeah, just like IBJJF.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of cool.
Wow, very cool. And so you're a purple belt now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you been training under Austin Baker your whole jiu-jitsu career?
No, so I started at a school in North Phoenix back in 2019 with Jimmy House.
Okay.
He was the one that actually got me back into it because I was going into law enforcement.
Yeah.
So for the sake of like just learning how to defend yourself, like it's just an important thing, especially nowadays. Like
For sure.
because every cop's so like eager to use a taser, potentially grab their gun.
Yeah.
Which that's a big no-no.
It is.
So I got back into that. I was like 285 pounds when I started.
Wow.
So I was severely out of shape. I couldn't even close guard. Like
Wow.
my legs would be like this, and they're like, "Yeah, close your legs." I'm like, I can't.
They just don't get there.
They just don't get there, man. And then, so I started training with him, and obviously he's doing big things in Texas now. So I was kind of like, well, I want to start competing more. What's up, kitty? So I was like, I really want to start competing at a high level. I want to do, these IBJJF tournaments. I want to do these bigger ones. I went to Nogi Pans back in September, and I was like, man, I really just need to go to a gym that does that, and also like get trained under a high level competitor. So when I heard Austin opened up Seoul last May or April, I ran into him at West Coast Trials for ADCC, and I was like, man, like, congrats on the new school. He's like, yeah, it's going to be small, but, it'll grow. And then fast forward to like January, like around New Year's, I went to his open mat for New Year's, and then, it was small because it's a newer school.
Yeah.
But like, I just love the environment, love him as a person. He's just a great guy.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, like, it's really cool here. And he's like, hey man, I'm not saying anything, but if you ever want to come train here, I'd love to have you. And then like a week later, I'm like, yeah, I got to go here.
Nice. That's awesome.
And then just his style, like just training with him, just it fit me.
Yeah.
And it shows like when I compete, like I'm a totally different competitor now. So.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's awesome. It is important to have someone that has like a similar style, or maybe someone that you would like to emulate, because you're a pretty big guy just naturally. How tall are you?
I'm about 5'11".
Oh, really?
Yeah, the doctor.
I'm just very short. You're taller than that.
No, the doctor gives me 6 foot every time, and I'm like, bro, you're being generous. I'm not 6 foot.
Oh, I would own that for sure. I'd say 6'2".
No, God, no. I'm like, I feel like I'm cheating if I say I'm 6 foot.
Oh, wow.
I'm 5'11" and like a quarter.
Wow. It says 5'10" on my license. I literally lived my whole life thinking I was 5'10".
You're not 5'10", bro. You're a solid 5'9".
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Exactly. Yeah, me and my buddy.
I love you, but you're not 5'10".
I know. I'm not. I literally lived my whole life thinking I was 5'10", and then I whipped out the tape measure one time, and I'm 5'9".
It's okay. But you're a brown belt, so it
Yeah.
adds an inch,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
everything.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like he's like 6'4", I believe, and like 260.
He's a big guy.
Yes, he's a big boy, and like
260 of lean too. He's not like a.
when he did Worlds, he like bulked up like 10 pounds, and he was under like 10% body fat.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so training with him was terrible. A lot of the white belts would look at me like, "You okay?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
I'm like, "I am tired. I am sore," and he's just there laughing,
Crushing you.
Yeah, but it's it's trial by fire, man. I mean, as you know, like when you roll your teacher, like you're just trying to get better with them, and like you get little wins here and there, but their goal is just to make you tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like now we're getting ready for Nogi Worlds together.
Nice.
So back in July was when he kind of presented this extra training for me where I go to Seoul, and at the time it was an hour. We just get an hour rolling in together 3 times a week. And those first 2 weeks, man, that was just me just trying to survive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it got me tougher. Like when I roll with my teammates, or like when I go cross train, like guys are like, "Dude, you got like stronger." I'm like, "No, dude, I just learned how to survive with one of the best heavyweights in the state."
Yeah.
And now we do 2-hour sessions. So we do an hour of cardio of just trying to get ourselves exhausted, and then we do 8-minute rounds. So about
after that.
Wow.
What do you do for cardio?
So we do like conditioning. So we'll do in the whole mat area. We start off like he puts 2 minutes, and you try to do as many rounds of. It's like a CrossFit workout. So we do bear crawls, shots, all sorts of exercises. Oh, we got our DJ here.
I know. She'll hit a button and
Next thing you know, the
mix it up.
podcast just turns off. Right?
No.
But yeah, so we do all this, and then we drill, different types of sequences. Like I think we were doing like X guard into saddle, which I know that's your position.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Reverse X into saddle.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're drilling that, and next thing you know, he's like, "All right, get ready, get a drink of water," and get a drink of water. Now we're gonna roll. And usually we were doing 7-minute rounds, and then he's like, "Okay, so we're doing 8 minutes." And I'm like, he's like, "Welcome to brown belt, Fred. This is what you got to do, man." I'm
Let's go.
Because he was talking about, he's like, "No, you're progressing so quickly." Because I've only been a purple belt for about 1.5 years now. He's like, I know you want to do this for a living, but to do it, you got to get to brown belt. I'm like, yeah, you're right. He's like, so it's either at the end of the year or next June that I give you that. And I'm like, don't do that to me. You can't just tell me that you're going to make me a brown belt without like me feeling like I need to work for it more, But
I think everyone experiences that, the sort of imposter syndrome. Like, I don't quite deserve it yet.
Yeah. And then like now, that guy is at that gym every day, and he has a baby and he has his wife. So now he kind of lets me help like run some classes. So like when he needs a break, like this past weekend, he's at Orange County right now.
Nice.
Competing. So I ran the adults no-gi class on Friday, and then our gi class like on Saturday morning this weekend.
Awesome.
So to me, like that's the biggest sign of like my teacher trusting me. Like, hey, I trust you to run my gym.
Yeah.
And make sure everyone's having a good time.
For sure.
But also like, making sure everyone is understanding.
Yeah, learns technique. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like the best practitioners in the world are the ones that can teach people.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's an important part of your development because you start you think you really know a technique, and then you show it to a class, and then they ask like, well, what do you do in this situation? You're like, fuck, what do I do in that situation?
Yeah, and I remember like, I think Friday I was showing like just some kind of like up and over pass and no-gi, like, because Austin likes to do a lot of like jumping passing, like as you saw in Butterspoon.
Yeah,
And so I started showing it because the guys were like, well, you like doing that too. I'm like, I do, because it really
Jumping
helps.
passing?
Well, like
high stepping you're talking about, or just like circling around the guard type passing?
Like he kind of angles out, and then he hits like this up and over pass, like what he kind of did to Nez in their match.
Okay, I see what you mean. Like flank one side, go to the other side hard. Yeah.
I just call it jumping passing because the dude flies in there.
Yeah.
So I was just showing that, and then I showed a cool little takedown, and then I showed a darce from a knee cut position. And my biggest thing, like through teaching that class, was like, hey, do we have questions? Do we need, to make any adjustments? I'm like, I'll be around. I had like a teenager who's never trained jiu-jitsu before, teaching him how to do a darce, and
Nice.
you have to drop to your bottom hip. He was dropping the other way. I'm like, no, like this.
Yeah.
And he's like, you could tell he's just like, he feels defeated. I'm like, dude, it's fine. It's your second class. Like,
Yeah.
don't,
Not gonna get it right away.
Yeah. And I'm like, you're not gonna be a killer in a month.
Yeah.
It takes time.
For sure.
And then Saturday class, showing like elevator sweeps and stuff like that, and then showing a cool arm bar.
Very cool.
Just trying to keep the class interested, you
Yeah.
know? Because I could show the same stuff Austin was showing during the week, but like I feel like I need to have my say as well. Like not so much my say, but like my twist on things too.
Absolutely.
To keep everybody interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Issa is like been like primary, like usually what he teaches and basically his game is like the basics. He's not like doing fucking flashy Minari rolls or anything. He is like smash, just like slow death of 1,000 cuts, basics, and he's extremely tight with everything.
Yeah,
and, so
and
that's,
it works.
Yeah, it works.
It
I
works.
mean, that basics are what win championships.
Yes.
And so that's what most of his classes are. So I try to be like almost the opposite of that.
But you're allowed to be because you're a brown belt,
Yeah.
about to be a black. So I feel like you get to put your little spin on it too because
Yeah.
you're at that rank now. You're an expert.
Yeah, and I like to have flair in my jiu-jitsu too.
Yeah.
Like I'll show like assassin's chokes or like the Joe Hogan roll to back takes or
Yeah.
twisters or something. I tell the people too that I train with, like, there's a set amount of techniques. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them that if you hit them in competition, that's a fucking steak dinner on me.
Yeah, for real.
Like a twister, a Joe Hogan back take, and assassin's choke or some of them, and I think something else as well.
Yeah, for me, like, so I've been known as just like the guy that hits Kimuras because that's like my number one like finisher. And
Typical big guy.
yeah, right. Yeah, like my teammates are like, oh, he's a Kimura king because I would hit it on my teammates.
Yeah.
And so when they see me start going for like leg locks, they're like, wait, what the fuck? I'm like, yes, I know how to do this. Just because I finished Kimuras and comps doesn't mean like I don't know anything else.
Yeah.
So there's always like that trying to be diverse, but like whatever works for you works for you.
For sure,
you know?
yeah. Typically how I do my game is like for like 6-month periods at a time, I'll be working on like 1 or 2 techniques or 1 or 2 overall things. Like right now, primarily what I'm working on is guard passing and guillotines. And I'm trying to like that, like that's my overarching, like I'm going to be looking for those most of my time in my role. I want to like, get, work different guard passes that I've been doing, get really good at passing guard because you can pass low-level guys guards all day, but once you get to competition, what the fuck?
The bass change.
What the hell? I think we were fucking with this last night. It made the the buttons a little touchy.
Joey's on the sauce.
We like take a fucking, what's it called? Like that nos, like what is it called? Whippets, just afterwards.
Joey's natural, guys. Don't worry. He's not taking the secret juice.
Yeah, but yeah. So like, once you get like a really high level guard, if you can't pass it, you're not gonna be able to do any of your techniques in the first place. So
yeah, it's to me like that's and then like that's really good that you do it like within 6 months. For me, I write down what I'm trying to accomplish each month. So when I was getting ready for Pans, I said I have to execute 50 back takes for rolling in a month. So I exceeded that by, I'd say like a week before the month ended. I got to
you mean in training? You're talking
in
about
sparring.
Oh, okay, so you count like, okay, that's one down,
Yep.
one down.
Because that's all I would go for in sparring.
Wow.
Like, even if I got mount, I'm like trying to bait the guy to turn to his side and then take his back.
Oh, interesting.
So when I got to like 55,
And you track it too.
Yeah.
So like you're like,
Yeah,
at
like,
the end of
I
the day,
have
you're like,
that-
all right, I got 7 today.
yeah, it's like I have that notebook. Any break I get, I'm like just tallying them off.
Oh
you
wow,
know?
interesting.
And like I think one of my teammates saw me like during our open mat, like just
Tallying.
tallying back takes, and he's like, "Are you keeping track?" I'm like, "Yeah, I said 50 back takes this month." So.
Wow. Huh.
And he's like, what if you don't get the finish? I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, but my body's getting used to taking backs now, because like for the longest time, back control was kind of like a detriment to me because I'd face taller guys, but I'm like, well, I need to get better at this. So now I need to work on the stuff that I'm not good at. And then if I'm going to do that, then, and my teammates ask me why, it's like, well, it's good to have little goals that lead to these major goals.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure. That's a really good way to do that. It's like a statistical approach. I was just talking with my friend Patrick the other day because he wears one of those whoops, that like tracks your heart rate and all of that. It's like if you're not measuring, can you see if you need to, where you need to adjust?
Right.
And so it's sort of similar. You need to like,
one of my teammates, Jackie, she actually wears the armband one.
Yeah, I've got another buddy. He's like, where's the Apple Watch there, I think.
Yeah, and then she like just puts it underneath her rash guard.
Yeah.
And then she tracks her stuff like that.
I've been thinking about doing that. The only thing is like, I don't know if I want that thing attached to me all the time. Like I think even my phone in my pocket, because I would want to sleep with it and track my sleep and all of that. Yeah. Another friend of mine, Margaret, Issa's wife, actually, she said she has a noticeable difference because she's got carpal tunnel in her wrist, and she said it's noticeably worse when she's wearing that Apple Watch all day or when it's on.
Yeah.
And so
I don't think I would want to wear it when I'm active. Definitely keeping track of my sleep.
Yeah.
And just seeing like what do I need to do to get better at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if I'm gonna like work out, I'm not gonna wear that stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather just keep my iPhone on me. And
I really like the idea of tracking it all, but I'm just not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah. Same. Like I don't want something physically wrong with me. I mean, doing jiu-jitsu, like you're already physically.
Yeah, you're beating yourself up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like, I've never had a sore neck until I started training this shit,
Yeah, and she already has like the ailment, but the fact that it makes it worse, that just means that maybe she has a more sensitive receptor for it. Like if it maybe makes me worse too, but I'm just not as sensitive to it, so it would maybe make a more prolonged period to make it feel worse.
And then eventually it hurts eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No.
Who knows? Or maybe it's all in their head.
Maybe.
Yeah.
No,
although I don't know that.
What the fuck?
I need to figure that out so it doesn't do that as much.
This is like the funniest episode probably.
That's probably what I should do. Just turn it to one that doesn't actually have buttons. That way, if anything happens,
for sure,
it doesn't go.
It's all good. We're having fun.
Absolutely. So you said you got into jiu-jitsu because you were getting into law enforcement. Mm-hmm. So are you in law enforcement right now?
No, I got out back in 2022, like early 2022. I was a detention officer for the sheriff's office.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And it was like right around October 17th of 2019. So it's been 4 years since I graduated from the academy. Mm-hmm. I got into it because I was always passionate about law enforcement. I come from a military family, so my dad was in the Marines for 20 years. My younger brother, he served for about 4 years in the military. So a lot of people thought I was going to join the military.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I've seen the lifestyle, the whole like leaving after like 2 years, and it's not for me, you know. And then I chose to do law enforcement for some reason, thinking that it was going to be better. And it was great. It was a great experience. Getting pepper sprayed sucks.
Oh no! Oh, that's like part of your like
training.
Initiation kind of.
I've seen the biggest, baddest dudes just turn into little girls.
Oh no! With pepper spray.
Yeah.
You got to just like know how it feels. Is that why they do it to you?
Yeah. So you learn they do it to you, so you understand how far to go with it. You know.
Oh, to other people.
To inmates and stuff like that. So once you get sprayed, like you can't see anything. And then they attack you with like a boxing pad.
Yeah.
So you have to like fend off the attacker, and then you have to open an eye and identify what the suspect has in his hand, whether it's a gun, knife, or bat.
Oh god.
So I'm like opening up like this. I'm like, drop the knife. He's like, you sure it's a knife? I'm like, it's a knife. Drop it. They're like, all right, you're done. Then they take you to wash your eyes out, and I'm just like, dude, I cannot see. Like this sucks so bad.
Wow.
And but it was a good time doing the academy, and then when it came to working, it was right before COVID happened. So dealing with guys in jail, this is right before they get their sentencing, so they just got arrested. When COVID started becoming a thing, that was probably one of the most difficult times obviously for like the whole country. But like for us, like we were working, normally we work 10-hour shifts. I probably did at least 16 hours.
Wow.
3 days a week because we were so short.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
And interesting. People just weren't like, people were getting sick or just not wanting to come in?
Yeah. So like before identifying like symptoms of COVID, we had to like, if you even showed a sign of being sick, they send you home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you cough, they're like, hey, yeah, you got to go. And it's like, what the hell?
At that time, people were paranoid. I remember when the restaurants first started opening up. If someone coughed near you, it was like
You're
assault.
done.
Like
You're done.
Like get the fuck out of
Yeah.
here.
And then like it was crazy, man, because like when it came to like having the inmates there, we were like overpopulated. Like we weren't taking people in for petty shit. Like DUIs, oh, just throw them in the drunk tank and then send them their way the next day. It had to be like you
You did something serious.
like a second degree assault to like damn near murder.
Oh
you
wow,
know?
huh? Those are the type of people you had in.
Yeah, I've ranged from just like DUIs to like dudes that we had to take to the psych ward. So yeah, it was an experience, man. I'm grateful I did it for the 3 years that I did, but when I got out, it was like the biggest sigh of relief of my life.
Yeah, that's good. You got to enjoy what you do, or
Yeah.
it can't be stressing you out like that.
Yeah, especially, and people are like, do you think COVID had a big deal with like why you were so stressed? And I'm like, yes, because the hours were long, and I mean the money was good in the sense of like, I just worked my ass off, but got to a point I'm like, dude, I don't want to do this shit for 20 years. And
Yeah.
like hate my life,
Yeah.
So.
So what are you doing now?
Now I do a lot of like just contract work for security, and then obviously like on the weekends I work at a bar.
Seoul? Oh, okay.
At a bar.
Okay. And
just
then teach some classes too?
Yeah, that recently just started like this past month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like I never realized like how respected I kind of was at my gym until the guys heard I was starting to teach now, and they got excited.
Oh, awesome.
So I'm like, okay, cool. So like, it's kind of like a reassurance thing. Like,
Yeah.
wow, okay, my teammates do trust me.
That
and
is
they
good.
do respect me.
It's good to feel that.
Yeah, it does. And for me, I'm so paranoid when I teach. Like after class, I'm like, any questions, or did you enjoy the class? And they're like, do you want us to leave a Yelp review? And I'm like, no, but I need to know so that way what I need to do better.
Yeah. Well, it's good you're taking it seriously.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, man, like I do want to make this like my livelihood eventually.
You want to make that you want to open a school.
Maybe one day. Right now, I'd rather just help Austin make Seoul like one of the best
Sure.
gyms in the state.
Yeah.
Because I'm 28 now, so I still got like maybe 7 years if I do it right, 7 or 8 years of like trying to be a high level competitor.
Yeah, competing at the highest level.
Yeah. So then, because I know like after a certain time, like competing kind of stops, and then you start becoming a teacher. So I'm trying to make the most of my competition years. Like
For sure.
to get where if that time comes where I do get to open the school, that people want to come and train with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, that's good.
but that's
So
down the road.
I gotcha. So are you saying you want to like get out more competitions, potentially have some like good wins under your belt, and then open up the school?
Yeah, but that's like we're talking like maybe 5-6 years down the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you would wait that long to do it?
Yeah, I feel like right now I'm still figuring out my game as I go.
Yeah.
And and also like learning how to teach, that's a skill of its own. And
sure.
thankfully I have a great teacher in Austin to help me kind of learn how to teach, and also, learning for me as well as a competitor to get better.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Why would you want to wait 5 or 6 years to start? I understand you want to do some competitions and whatnot, but I always thought, if I would have started jiu-jitsu much younger, I started at 22, but, for me, like I wanted to fucking, do a bunch of things right away. So I just didn't have the patience of, I just didn't think that it was in the cards for me to like open up my own school. But I think if I would have been like started younger, been like a brown belt by the age of like 20 or 22 or something like that, I would have started it at brown belt, not wait to black belt. As soon as I got a brown, I would have just opened up a gym and just started that way.
Yeah, well, I think like...
I mean, kind of with everything, like time is of the essence.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely true. Like for me, I'm still trying to get my name out there, like around the country.
Sure.
With Austin, it's kind of crazy because like we can walk anywhere and at least 5 guys know him.
Yeah.
Like at ADCC Scottsdale, like Big Dan, who's a high level, heavyweight, literally just walks up to Austin, pats him on the back, gives him a big hug.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is Big Dan Manisau. They're like literally just hugging Austin like if it's his older brother, because they've competed against each other and stuff. So
Nice.
yeah, and I'm like, man, like that's goals right there. That's the kind of respect like
Yeah.
that I want to have.
It's super cool. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
and he's not like, oh, like look at what I've done. He knows what he's done.
Yeah.
He just super humble, quiet guy.
It speaks for itself.
Yeah, and his little stoic walk where he's so damn wide.
He's like,
I told him like when he walks, I'm like, most people will say it's ILS, like invisible lat syndrome. I'm like, no, it's just lat syndrome because he's that fucking wide.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like that level of respect, like I want to have one day, and just to, when it's my time to stop competing and it's that time to, start teaching more, where the facts back it up. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
I got you.
he's done this, this, and this. It's like, why wouldn't I want to learn from him?
Yeah, I got you. Well, that makes sense too, because when you do open up your gym, that has to be your primary focus, and all the hours that are typical rolling hours where you may get high level rounds somewhere else, you've got to teach your students,
Yeah.
and most of them are going to be white belts when you start a gym. So
Yeah.
it's sacrifice. You have to sacrifice your own training a bit to
Yeah.
have your own school.
Yeah, and it goes back to like what with Austin. Like when I go and do my session with him, he's already done like 2 training sessions
Yeah, that day.
that day.
Yeah.
And then he has to teach class. So we have our kids classes at 4 and 5, and then the adult class at 6 on Monday, Wednesday, or every day pretty much.
Yeah.
And then like Tuesday, Thursday, we have our noon no-gi class. So he's probably there from damn near like 9 a.m. to almost 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, good for him. I mean, that's just what it takes.
Yeah.
He's absolutely getting after it and also competing at the highest level on top of
Yeah.
it. Good for him.
Yeah, there's like literally any excuse that I could think of for him, like he doesn't need.
Yeah, he's got plenty of them, but doesn't.
Doesn't need them at all.
Yeah, every single person does. That's the thing. Everyone's got this or that going on, and then you can either just choose to fucking, do good for yourself and try your best and work as much as you can, or you don't.
Yeah, and like for me, when it comes to my training, I train about 6-7 days a week. Also working 2 jobs, and
Yeah.
I work overnight, so I get maybe 5-6 hours of sleep each day.
Yeah.
And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm training twice a day, as well as lifting 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And those workouts are not easy,
Yeah.
Jimmy's my strength and conditioning coach, and I mean, I look at some of the workouts, I'm like, God damn, man. I was like supersets on supersets, but I mean, it's gotten me stronger.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's like, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
If you want to do something like that and want
Yeah.
to do well, you just got to sacrifice.
Make it happen.
I don't go out and party. I don't, really get to go out. I hardly ever drink. Like a drink now and then is fine. But like going out, getting wasted, like it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I'd
You
rather,
just got to see what's important in your life.
yeah. And like same, like what you talked about, like time is of the essence. So like for me, like that's what, like back in January, I really thought about this too. I'm like, I'm not getting any younger. I'm 28. 30 is supposedly our prime. So I'm like, well, I need to start doing stuff now to prepare for my prime.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'd rather be ahead of schedule and just be ready to go.
Yeah.
So, and it's been a learning experience, man. It's competing with these high level guys. Like when I did ADCC Open in Scottsdale, for the intermediate division, it's blue and purple. Austin goes, he's like, well, you got to fight the pro division.
Nice.
Like you have to do it.
Do the expert division.
Yeah. So I did. And, I mean, it's all a learning experience, man. I mean, I didn't win one single match that day, but, I gained a lot about what I need to work on to get better.
For sure.
So, it was like, yeah, I may have not have won a match, but I went out there, did my thing, did the best I could. And I was like, okay, well, now we got to figure out what to do.
Yeah. Losing is part of the process. It's important to go out there and when you do lose, like actually take note of what happened and try to improve on those part of the games.
Yeah.
I record every match I do and then
Same.
you got to watch it too, even though it's so fucking tough watching yourself lose.
Yeah.
It's so shitty. And then
it's such a terrible feeling,
It
but
is.
then like you do learn from it. And
Yeah.
like for me, I never blame anybody but myself when I
Yeah.
lose. When I went to Pans and I got fucking darsed in like 2 minutes, I was like, God damn, man, like what the fuck's going on with me? But like, right away I apologized to Austin and he's like, dude, don't apologize. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know why I apologize to you, because I feel like you always feel like you let your teacher down.
Yeah.
You know, when you lose, especially losing like that. And he's like, you know, it's just part of the sport, and this is the big leagues. And he's like, we get back in the lab and we get you tougher. And I'm
Yeah.
like, for sure.
That's cool.
And it's like, but yeah, I dwell on it a lot. Like the day after afterwards, like the day after I'm fine.
Yeah.
But like the day of, I'm like, fucking suck. I don't
know.
even know why I even do this shit. Why am I training 7 days a week? Where all this shit just like, and it's like,
Yeah.
dude, you just get caught. It just happens.
Yeah, it does happen. It's important to try not to get in your own head too much.
Yeah.
Losing is part of it, and it fucking sucks. But getting too much in your head can like beget more losses. You know, you'll get too much in your own way. You got to just understand it's part of the fucking nature of it, and move forward.
Yeah, and it is like don't dwell on it too much. Don't, because then negative thoughts start happening. And then next thing you know, you're losing every match because you're just like, you gave up on yourself before the match even happened. So it's still it's a mental thing. And like now I'm more like headstrong about things now. It's like, hey, you know what? Fuck it. It happened. I can't fix what I just did in the past. What I can do is fix what I do tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's the one thing I tell the new guys. Like, I get it. It sucks. You're getting your ass kicked in practice, but welcome to Jiu-Jitsu. You're a white belt.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
You're not going to win every roll.
Yeah, exactly.
But I always tell them, like, the main thing is you're winning by coming back the next day.
For sure.
Or however many days you come a week, you're still ahead of about 99% of the population.
Yeah. It's like a very stoic view of it.
It really is.
Yeah. I mean, like one of the primary tenets of stoicism is to only control what's within your control.
Exactly.
And so if it's already done, it's already happened. There's zero utility in dwelling on it, thinking about it. All you have to do is just move forward and control what you can control.
Exactly.
Because that's all you can do in life is like whatever's within
really
your
is.
control, that's what's within your control. The shit that's not, you should just give no attention to it, zero energy, and fucking work your best on the shit that you can control.
Exactly. And then, like, this past last weekend, it was like the Southwest Classic, and we had a couple of guys competing. We had a couple white belts competing, and you know, they lost. And he's like, man, I want to go again. I'm like, that's good. I'm like, that's that competitive drive in you.
Yeah.
You know, that's great. I'm like, don't dwell on it. Just enjoy the fact that you went out there and you gave it your all.
Yeah.
I was like, and then we get back to training on Monday. I'm like, but enjoy your weekend and
Yeah.
have fun, because you just did something that a lot of people would never do.
Exactly.
And that includes people that have been training for a long time.
For sure.
You know, people are like, I am terrified of competing. I'm like, dude, I'm nervous before every damn match.
Yeah.
But I know, I'm like, I have to go out there and give it my all. Like,
Yeah.
this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what's really interesting too? It seems like as people get more advanced, the less they compete in general.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I've noticed that a lot. To me, like, I have to at least try to compete at least once a month.
Yeah, for sure. That's my goal as well, always.
Yeah,
So like
at least
once a month. Yeah.
Yeah, like when you went to Chicago, I was like, dude, that's sick.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. You go out there and like face these, you know, high level guys, and like you're going out there getting your brand out there. And I'm like, that's exactly
Oh,
what
I was
mean.
posting that sticker
Oh,
everywhere.
dude, you were tagging it up. Like, I was like, dude,
Yeah,
I was
literally.
surprised you didn't go to East Coast Trials and just tag up New York.
Oh,
and
dude, I would have
Jersey.
loved to as well. My plan was to do that too, but then my bracket filled up like 2 months before
No, it's
it started.
insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, East Coast Trials for ADCC is just ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
I remember when Jimmy did it back in 2021, and that was only when they had 4 mats in this little casino.
Yeah.
So that was like 10-hour day.
Yeah.
If you won your first like 6 matches, you were there for like 12 hours. It's like doing
Wow.
a job.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. That's crazy.
Yeah, and then yeah, man, but like, and that's what I tell these guys, like, you see these competitors competing at a big stage, right? But they don't have any fear of losing or winning. Obviously, they want to win. We all want to win.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the nature of sport is there's got to be one guy that wins.
Yes.
You know, there's only a handful of guys that get to go to ADCC or like these big tournaments. You know, there's only 5 classes for the men. So you think about it, there's 16 spots and there's only a few trials a year. So there's only like maybe 4 or 5 guys that get to go to that.
Yeah.
For each weight class.
Yeah.
And then it's 16 of you, but only one of you gets to win the weight class.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's incredible just to get like in a top within the trials is crazy because of the depth of competitors.
yeah, I mean, like when Nez did it and he got to the semis, I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like,
Yeah.
let's go.
That's pretty incredible. He did placed top 4.
Yeah.
And then lost to the guy who was who won it.
Who won it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, he gave it his all in a weight class like that's just stacked. I mean, he fought Devontae Johnson for bronze, and I'm like, dude's a world champion, you know. So it's kind of cool to see one of our local guys doing that, and it gives me hope. Like, maybe one day I get there too. Right alongside my teacher, alongside like with you guys right there.
I love seeing the boys going out and competing.
Same, man.
Yeah, it's fucking sick.
Yeah, like everybody that like, and that's a testament to how great our community is.
It really is, because we're
like,
all different schools, and we just like fucking love it.
Yeah, like when I saw Oscar and Gabriel at I think it was West Coast Trials, we were all cheering for each other.
Yeah, for sure. It's so cool. Actually, yeah, I'll go to different states, and like I'll see guys from J Pages, like Oscar, Gabriel, a bunch of people, and then if need be, like we'll coach each other too. Just because that's just, I mean, we're in it together. Even though different schools, we don't necessarily like train
every day.
I mean, we'll go to open mats. That's primarily what it is. But it's so fucking cool that our community is like that.
Yeah, because eventually, like, we're trying to make it to where like our state becomes one of the best jiu-jitsu states.
Yeah,
you have Texas, you have Cali. Now it's like Arizona's starting to kind of push.
Yeah, we've got to put Arizona on the map.
Yeah, we will.
Oh yeah,
we will.
We will.
We got some killers in our state. We just gotta get them in those big shows.
Do you watch instructionals at all?
Oh yeah.
Do you? Nice.
Yeah. I actually blame my friend Daniel Bowie from 12th Street.
Yeah.
He teaches a class on Sundays, and it's kind of funny because he's a blue belt. And, normally blue belts, they're not supposed to be fucking teaching.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's a great teacher.
Yeah.
He watches a lot of, like, Nicky Ryan instructionals, and he got to meet Nicky at East Coast. So I was like, oh, did you tell him that you're, like, he's your idol? He's like, no. I'm like, why not? I'm like, you fucking teach everything that he does. So, yeah, I do watch instructionals. I find guys, like, with my body type or, like, similar things I like to do. Like, I watch a lot of, like, Brandon Reed because he's, like, a 3-time, Division III national wrestler for, like, stand-up. And then when it comes to the passing, I'll watch, like, a lot of Gordon stuff. He's taller than me and, but the body type's sort of similar.
Yeah.
Watch a little bit of Marigali because he's a fucking unit and just love watching him. But I try to find guys that I think that will help me to my style aside from learning from Austin. But it's like they're all very similar in styles, but they just have their own twist. And I think that's what's cool about being a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Like the way that Austin put it is like, you're learning, and then once you get to black belt, most people think it's the end of your journey.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's
the beginning.
Because now you start putting your own twists and stuff on certain techniques.
For sure.
Like maybe if I do an arm bar from guard, it might be different from, a guy from a black belt from a Gracie Baja school.
Yeah.
Or like Issa does an arm bar different than maybe I might do it.
Yeah.
If I'm, when
for
that
sure.
time comes.
Yeah, well, that's what's interesting too. It's like once you get to that level, you're competent in everything, for sure. Very good in most things, but an expert in a few particular things. I mean, at least initially, that's probably when you get to brown belt. That's about what it is. And those particular things are what like shine through. And what's really interesting about training through different black belts is like this guy is a fucking Darce maniac, and this guy is just very good at butterfly guard. It's like you're just taking from whatever their ultra specialties are.
Right.
It's a really good thing.
Yeah, and it is like my goal with all this is just to be well rounded and all, but like also kind of like have a few techniques that the guys are like, hey, watch out.
Yeah.
that's his bread and butter.
Yeah.
But then also,
do you have any of those right now?
Honestly, I'd say from just rolling and like competing, obviously like, Kimuras are, big guy move, but the way I can get to that position, to a control position, like kind of amazes me because like it just happens. It's like second nature. And I'm like, oh, wow, why am I here right here?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely any kind of Kimura sequence. And then I've been a fan of like guillotines now.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me as well.
Because I don't really have, I have decently like long arms, but like guillotines are kind of more for like short, compacted guys.
You don't necessarily need long arms
No.
for guillotines.
Yeah.
Darce is more so for
Darce
sure.
is more, yeah. And I do like Darce's too. The thing is, for me, I really have to like crunch my opponent in.
Me as well. Darce was one of my specialties actually when I was like first starting. That was like one of the techniques that I learned and fucking loved, and I still love it. But like it's just one of those because of my like just length. It's one of the harder techniques to pull off at a high level.
Yeah, and it really is like you have to really bait somebody in it.
You got to get deep in there, and sometimes with little arms, it's fucking tough.
And then as well as like for me now, arm bars are kind of like my thing, and then now I'm starting to kind of get into leg locks a little bit more. And that's just a testament of just drilling and then hitting it in sparring. Obviously, like with guys that are familiar with leg injuries.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's kind of funny when they watch me invert, they're just like,
How?
They're like, how? And I'm like, it's not the prettiest invert. Like, I'm not a 135er who can just roll into an inversion. Next thing you know, I have your leg. It's like, you know, it's more like me just bumping on the mat, just trying to create space, and then I grab a hold of your ankle, you know, stuff like that.
Is that mine?
I think that's mine.
Oh, okay.
Spam callers.
I know. Fucking spams.
They're the worst.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, now like with certain submissions I'm really starting to get comfortable with versus like 4 years ago I only like maybe knew like an Americana, which, you know, typical white belt heavyweight move, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like my game's starting to slowly get there, and then with teaching now, you know, I start understanding like the concepts. Okay, maybe I have to hit it from this angle so that way the guys understand why I'm doing it from this angle. So teaching really does have benefits.
For sure. Absolutely.
To me when I roll now, because I'm really thinking about, okay, I taught the class this, so I need to make sure I'm hitting it just like how I taught in class.
Yeah.
Because if I hit it a different way, duly noted, like when you're rolling, it's never going to be picture perfect.
No, for sure. That is one of my goals though too. Typically anytime I teach something, like I'll
you try to hit it
tap
that
everyone
day
with that move.
Yeah, same. Like if I'm gonna teach like an arm bar, right? My goal is to tap everybody with that arm bar.
Yeah, exactly.
in sparring.
Yeah,
so.
because it's like when people are like, "Oh, it's not working." It's like it's not the move that sucks; it's you that sucks.
No, I can't. I'll never tell somebody that. It's like, well, hang on, maybe you're just not getting it right. You know?
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, you fucking suck. Dude. That's like, don't even do the move I just fucking taught you today.
You know what? Who's really funny like that? Fucking spammers are the worst.
Oh, dude, they are. I'm gonna put this shit on the airplane.
There you go.
There we go.
Who's really funny with that is Jonathan Van Buren.
Really?
Yeah,
he seems like such a like quiet, humble dude.
Dude, he is like one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. But like during a class, like I remember one time he taught a seminar at ESA's and he just came over to us. He's like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?"
Oh my god, that's
Were you
funny.
paying attention or?
Yeah, like every time that I've met him, super nice guy.
He is a really nice guy.
But I'm like, man, something tells me he's sassy a little bit.
when he's coaching, I mean, he's savage with it.
Yeah. Oh, no, and I mean, you have to be. You gotta, you know, everyone wants to have fun. Like we're all adults, and you know, we drilled the technique. But when people are like fucking around, it's like, hey, like, like,
well, it's good to have both too. You know, my buddy Patrick, who came on the pod the other day, he told a funny story about doing a seminar with Anthony Burchak.
Oh, gosh.
Do you know Burchak? So apparently a few years back, and my buddy Patrick's like in his late 40s, and a few years back, he was doing a seminar, and at the end of the seminar, Anthony was, and at the end of the seminar, Burchak was like, "Anyone here have any questions on preparing for competition? I've competed at every level, many levels, including the UFC. Does anyone have any questions for me on how to prepare for competition?" A couple people asked questions, this and that, and then he's like, "Has anyone not competed?" And my buddy Patrick raised his hand. Only person in the class that didn't raise his hand.
Right.
And so he comes over to him. He's like, "Well, what the fuck's wrong with you?"
Oh, shit. That sounds like fucking Burchak,
and
dude.
so Patrick was like, I gave him an answer that I thought was a really good answer. He's like, "I'm a casual competitor. I'm a hobbyist. I want to be there for my teammates. I want to help them get ready. But I train 3 times a week, and you know that's what I do. That's kind of all I like to do." And Burchak's like, well, that's fucking bullshit.
That sounds like
And
Bert
just
Tech.
started-
I love that dude, man. Him and
Yeah.
Mercedes are like two of my favorite people.
They are
in
great
fucking
people.
Tucson,
I
man.
love it. And so he apparently just started reading him the riot act of like, you're not testing yourself hard enough. You need to get out there. You challenge yourself and all this. And Patrick at first was like a little bit pissed, you know, like Anthony's younger than him. He's like, fucking respect your elders. Like, I'm old. I just, I just do this for fun. And then he gets home and he's like, sort of the sobriety of what he said sat in. And he's like, you know what? Why don't I compete? Why can't I?
why not?
Why don't I? And so he started taking it a little bit more seriously. He goes out in his first competition so he's in his late 40s. The way this one worked out, it was the all ages division.
Oh,
fucking,
shit.
you know,
Okay.
people that are literally some 20 years younger than him in a
Right.
lot of cases. And he wins 5 matches in a row.
It's the fucking old man strength, bro. Like, let's just call it
That is something for sure.
Yeah.
He apparently didn't get a single point scored on him. Scored about 50 points total through the
It's
5
the old man
matches.
strength.
Yeah. Just technically fucked everyone up. And then just 2 months ago, he won Masters Worlds.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes like fucking telling people how it is like is a good thing to do.
And you need friends like that, and you like obviously like it was more like a seminar, but like you need somebody to be like, hey, why aren't you doing this shit?
Yeah.
You know, and hobbyists to me, like, they're just as important as any
for sure.
competitor.
No, it is for sure. Yeah.
Because one of my, like, since I started jiu-jitsu 4 years ago, like, I have hobbyist teammates, right? One of my best friends, Amir, me and him came up together as white belts. He's about to be a fucking purple belt. I tell him that every day because he's one of the hardest rounds that I have at Seoul.
Yeah.
His fucking guard is stubborn. If you ever get a chance to roll with him, like,
Okay.
you'll see what I'm talking
Amir?
about. Amir, yeah.
Maybe he'll be at open mat today.
I sure fucking hope so. He's he's in law school right now, so he's about to be like the world's most dangerous lawyer.
Actually, that guy that won the 99 kilo, he's a lawyer. Do you know that?
Yeah.
What the
Yeah,
hell?
that's what I told him.
He's got a law firm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I told him. Like, yeah, that dude's a lawyer.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So there's no excuse.
Yeah.
And then one of my best friends, she's like my older sister. You know, she's like, I'm going to say like she's like 36, 37. I'm probably giving her a few years, but she'll love me for it. We all started at that school together in North Phoenix, and then eventually, we all went to Seoul together. She always says like, "Oh, I'm a hobbyist," and she's been a blue belt for about 2 years now, and I'm like, "You're gonna be a fucking purple belt because like you're understanding concepts, you're understanding techniques." And I'm like, "What you need to do is just fucking do a tournament already." And like I always kind of like every time I text her, I'm like, "When are you gonna compete?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "There's girls in your division, there's girls in your age group that you can face, and you'll be fine."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I don't know." I'm like, "No, you need to do it. Like,
Yeah.
It's time. Jackie, it's time to fucking compete already." So,
Has she not? Is she competed yet?
No, we did like a little in-house tournament, and she faced like our best friend, Emily.
Nice.
And like, that was cool.
Yeah.
It was kind of heartbreaking because like it's two of your friends fighting
Yeah.
each other, but like,
Those are good too, the in-house tournaments, because
They
all of a
definitely
sudden,
are.
it means something, even though it really doesn't mean anything.
yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
Just like actual competition,
yeah.
all of a sudden it means something.
But like when
and
you have a crowd of people watching you,
it changes it
changes
completely.
everything.
You'll
'cause
get that
it's just you and
adrenaline.
her.
You'll get
Yeah.
that adrenaline dump just in class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it's like you have everybody watching you, so you get that sense of like, oh shit.
And it's the like during training, you're like, well, pass my guard, or like maybe I got swept. That was caught me off surprise there. When their points are on the line, it's like if you catch me off surprise on a sweep, I'm insisting that I do not accept that sweep.
Nope.
I'm gonna make sure I get up and fucking not let that happen.
Your senses like go to like an all like time high.
It's a different type of
once
roll.
Once you step on that mat and the ref says, "All right, let's do this."
Yeah.
It's like, all right, it's not training anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I have to try to kill this guy in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
My one of my teammates, Jeremiah, he made me laugh at Gee State, which it was my first ever tournament. He's like, "I'm watching you warm up," and then like I'm like, "Okay, like let's go, Fred." And then he's like, "You do this thing with your eyes, like you close them and you take this deep breath and then you open them, and it's like it scares the shit out of me." He's like, "You just look like this like villain in a movie."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, that's like me getting ready, turn on beast mode." And he's
Yeah.
like, "It's kind of sick." He's like, "Why don't you do that in practice?" I'm like, "Because I love y'all and I'm not trying." I'm like, "It's different."
It's a different type of role.
I was like, "I don't care about the dude in front of me for
Yeah.
those 7 minutes."
Yeah.
I'm like, obviously I don't want to hurt him, but my job is to win.
Yeah.
And then he's like, huh. I'm like, when you get that mentality, it kind of picks up. And he's like, for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just funny.
Yeah, the goal is not to have a friendly back and forth role. It's to implement everything that I want to do.
It's to make them look like they shouldn't have been on the mat at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and
If you want to impose your will
yeah.
against a resisting a person,
yeah,
and do it effortlessly.
And it's their job to keep up with you.
Yeah.
You know, and
doesn't always play out like that.
Doesn't always play out like that, but you always want to make sure you're the hammer in the situation.
That has to be the intention.
Yeah. Like I respect everybody. Like when I go to open mats, I'm, the guy that'll roll with anybody, friendly. Yeah. Learn.
In open mats or just training at different gyms is a different thing because I'm often working on different things.
Right.
So that means sometimes I get my guard pass. Sometimes, I put myself in a bad position. Sometimes, a lower level person, does something a positive to me because I'm trying to work my best jiu-jitsu. I'm trying to like training is about skill acquisition. If it's just about winning every single round, yeah, you're gonna be maybe tough, but your game is gonna stunt. It's not gonna develop as if like it would if you're trying to constantly add new things. So I'm always trying to do new things, and sometimes it means like having to check your ego and like losing some rounds to some random people and not telling them after like, hey, I'm actually just working on stuff.
No, I don't tell anybody what the hell I'm doing. I'm just like, hey, good, thanks for the round.
But you have to just be okay with sometimes you lose a round and it's because you're trying to fucking work on things, and that's okay. But it's the people who just like only will stick to their A game because all they want to do
is win
and win their rounds. And then maybe you'll win more rounds or maybe not get scored on during rounds. But you're not gonna get as good as I fucking will. Just trying to do new do things.
And I think there's a time and place for like those guys that want to win every round. It's like if it's like the week before a comp,
sure,
and we want to mentally be on positive.
Yes,
put him with people that he's gonna beat the shit out of.
Yeah, well, not only that, like the week of competition, you should start to like take your rounds more seriously and make sure you don't get scored on. Make sure not work on stuff actually, work on new stuff.
No,
you should just be doing your A game every single roll.
Yeah, literally like you're doing like a mock tournament.
Yes,
essentially that week of the comp.
Yes,
versus like a month, like 2 months out, like, okay, I'm trying to figure out what I can do better.
Just general training should be about skill acquisition. Yeah.
Yeah, and like when I go like to Jay's or when I go to anybody's open mat, like usually I'm warming up and then, whoever I just stand right there and it's like, hey, you want to go? Yeah, let's go. Doesn't matter, like man, woman. I mean, I've rolled with kids.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not going to fucking throw a kid across the damn room. Like, oh, man, you armbarred me. All right, good job.
I will suplex a child.
I will fucking foot sweep a kid. That's how you get better at foot sweeps, guys. You practice on little kids and you see them fall and you feel better. Then when you do it to an adult, it's like clockwork.
Have you been working foot sweeps?
I have.
Nice.
One of my teammates, Damien, fucking monster judoka. When I first started training in the gi, so I've only been training in the gi since January.
Oh, this year?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He at the time he was a white belt. He came from a different school like me. And I'm rolling with him like, this motherfucker is not a white belt. And I was like, you fucking sandbagger. So I shoot in a double leg on him, and he fucking just flips me over. And I was like, are you fucking serious right now?
Yeah.
And he's just laughing, and he's doing all these foot sweeps to me. And then I start learning some judo from him, and like just with guys that train judo. And I remember my goal was like, I'm going to fucking foot sweep this guy.
Nice.
So we get into a scramble. He gets back up. He's light on his right foot, and I just fucking take it out from him, and I see him fall right on his ass. And I was like, ha! I was like, now you know how it feels, man. And he's like, that was nice. And I'm like, nice. Thank you.
Very good. I'd love for you to show me like what are some of your go-to foot sweeps. That's something I've been trying to work
definitely
on.
Will. Yeah. Definitely will. I like to do it from like a Russian tie.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, we'll get together at like one of the Issa's open mats.
We'll do it today. Are you gonna be going to Jay's?
I believe I will be.
Okay, cool.
Either way, we'll
make it
mix
happen.
match. You'll
For
show
sure.
me your damn clover leaf that you love to hit so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, like foot sweeps I've been a fan of from me like being a wrestler since I was like 8 or 9. Steve Mako has been like a hero of mine because he's this big bear heavyweight, and you would think like he likes to bear hug people or like blast double people. No, he liked doing outside foot sweeps, and he would just do it effortlessly. And then you know, like with wrestling now, like it's become such a staple in nogi jiu-jitsu that you need to know it.
For sure.
At least the hand fighting
Yeah.
portion.
Well, also too, do you listen to this guy, Less Impressed, More Involved on
Yes,
YouTube?
yes.
He's really good. And so one thing that he's been doing recently is like statistical analysis on each of the ADCC Opens and just track what are the submissions that get hit the most, what positions do
That
they
guy
get hit
is
the
like
most.
a walking computer.
Dude, he's a beast. I really like what he's doing. I mean,
do
it's
too.
fucking cool. He's got one of those minds where it just likes that shit. It could never be me, but I love that he's doing it. He's
Yeah.
actually creating this platform that's going to be like, oh, you want to see how Darces are hit in competition? Google Darce, and it'll just be like 30 links for every Darce that's been hit
That's
at the
insane.
ADCC Opens. He's
It's insane.
creating that right now. But one thing he did, or one of the statistical analyses, were where do takedowns happen? Or what takedowns happen. And apparently the number one way people get to the ground is from a sprawl spin to the back.
Of course.
Yeah, it's a defensive wrestling. And actually it's the same case in NCAA. The number one at the highest wrestling level where these guys are extremely proficient in setups, executions, all of this, the number one takedown is a sprawl spin to the back.
Yeah.
And
It's crazy. Like the most simple move like that is like the number one move, but
Yeah.
it's so effective. Like if someone takes a bad shot on you and you're able to beat their like shoulder in that corner and you spin around the back,
yeah.
you know, like any overtime match that I've seen, like dude takes a bad
bring this
shot.
thing a little closer.
I got you.
Yeah.
Dude, you know, dude takes a bad shot and bro literally just beats the angle on him, gets it around. That's the match.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, yeah, it's crazy to think about. Like a simple thing that we drill every day is sprawling.
Yeah.
and that's
Well,
how
also,
you can win a match.
Yeah, it's also a defensive move. It's not an offensive wrestling.
it's
yeah.
not.
So it's interesting. One thing that he mentioned is that the statistics could be skewed because, like, when you're losing a match and you need to make up for it and make something happen, often it's like one guy being extremely defensive and the other guy that has to shoot. So often, you know, maybe there's an overrepresentation of that because, like, during late in a match, you're down on points, you shoot, the guy knows it's coming, he sprawls. You know, it's not necessarily like shooting at the beginning of a match when the score's even and, you know, maybe it's more of a surprise.
It's like a situational thing with that because when I've wrestled too, like I've won matches where you know I've physically just beat up the dude and then like he takes a bad shot and sprawl, get behind.
Yeah.
And then me being on the other side of things, like I'm down 6 points and then I take a lazy shot and next thing you know I'm down
Now you're
8
fucked.
points.
Yeah. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's one reason that I think foot sweeps are pretty cool because it's a very low risk move. It's a very low risk, high reward move. Because if you miss a foot sweep, maybe you're off balance.
For like a second.
Yeah, but typically it's not in a bad way.
No.
Yeah.
And if you time it right, it's just devastating.
Oh, and it looks so sick too.
It does. Like when Austin hit that at your event,
Yeah.
I was like,
So smooth.
God, man. And then like I just had PTSD. I'm like, he always does that shit to me.
Yeah.
Like, when he
Yeah.
hit it on Marcelo, I was like, oh man, I know that feeling
I've
so
seen
bad.
it. I like because I've watched the video a bunch of times. But I've seen how he set it up. I've been working that same setup lately.
Yeah, I
he
have
switches
too.
from basically like a tricep grip to an underhook, and as he underhooks, he swips the.
Yeah, because he gets his opponent elevated.
Yeah.
So now they're so like, oh shit, I need to, you know,
Yeah.
I need to match it. Now the foot's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's man. I remember the first time he foot swept me. I was getting ready for my first super fight back in April, and he's like, "Hey, like no matter what, don't give up." Just for 7 minutes, it was him beating the shit out of me in front of the whole gym. By the way, like we had the whole mat to ourselves.
Yeah.
And we just got done with like gi class, and you know it's a no gi match, and he's like, "Don't give up." I'm like, "Fuck!" Slap bump, foot sweeps me like 6 times during that
God.
whole fucking roll. I'm like, "This is hell. This
Yeah.
sucks." But it makes me tougher. And then
Yeah.
like when I started learning how to do foot sweeps, I was like, this is kind of nice. It's nicer than shooting a damn double leg or like a high crotch.
Yeah.
And then getting potentially sprawled on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
outside singles are probably one of my favorites too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
My double leg has always been much better than my single leg. I've been
Really?
trying to.
You
develop-
like duck unders too.
I like duck unders a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
duck unders are a really good takedown.
Yeah, for sure. That is a really good one. It's also one that's like less risk too, because you've still got the collar. If you miss it or if he does good, you're
just-
still here.
Yeah, you're still neutral.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those like you get them going, you kind of bait them. You know, you kind of like, oh, I'm going to shoot, and then they're so focused on the shot, you just kind of drag that arm by.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was always one of my favorites in high school. I would set up either like a high crotch or outside single, But if the high crotch wasn't there and they so commit to sprawling, I would just get underneath their shoulder and like just drag them down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those like it's one of those staple takedowns that are very underappreciated, but you see national champions hitting that all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but yeah, it's wrestling. It's important in jiu-jitsu in general.
For sure. It's where most people's game lacks is in wrestling.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it was like, leg locks was a big trending thing for a while, and because most people's leg locks were terrible. Now, most people, even like white belts, are like training heel hooks and everything, as they should. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
But the thing that people still mostly lack is like a really solid wrestling base.
Yeah, I mean, watching the ADCC worlds and seeing like old school like pro wrestling where they're like locked up like hand to hand. I'm like, I get it, like it's a neutral position, but it's like, come on, man, like just get a good like club in at least. Like, I mean, I do it too because like I'll catch somebody doing that to me and like I lock hands with them, but like I'm trying to like snap them down as well.
For sure.
So I see the benefits, but when you're doing it for like 5 minutes straight of like just like trying to do like a test of strength kind of thing, I'm like, dude, just watch
like Mercy or something.
Yeah, like go to a high school wrestling practice, learn how to hand fight properly.
Yeah,
please.
exactly, for sure. One thing, I actually have like my knuckles are fucked up on both hands.
Really?
And so I'll tape these two fingers together. Anytime I do that, like you can't Mercy grip anymore because like these fingers are weird and like you can't really do it.
No, so now it's like for me, like when I do hand fighting. I mainly focus on like just trying to grab the wrist, and then so like if someone pulls away, I'm gonna try to grab the other, like kind of cross chaining, and then I get into my 2-on-1.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's all about just getting angles and stuff with that.
For sure. You know what's interesting too? I was just working with my boy London on Friday. From when someone's playing like a single leg X or something, getting actually sole grips, like sole of the foot, rather than like the top of the foot. The soles of the feet is like a really solid grip. Anytime
really
you can do
is.
that from either when you're playing guard or when they've got like a single leg X position, it's such a good control. And like from the bottom, you have to like pull your knee to your chest to get rid of it, and
Pretty
like
much,
really hard.
yeah.
It's tough, and if you just go with them, it's a tough grip to break. Actually,
Yeah, it's a very sensitive part of the foot when you grab the sole.
yeah,
Yeah.
like tick tick tick.
Yeah, pretty much. You probably do that. Huh? Might be not to play guard with you. But yeah, man, it's crazy to think like in our sport, like just the minor details are just changing.
It's so much. It's everything.
So much. It's like literally something new every day.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is awesome too, because I think jiu-jitsu is at a very infant stage right now.
And that's crazy because it's been around in the States forever now.
For so long.
But
even just in the past 5 years, it's grown so like drastically.
It has.
When I first started, most people didn't know, like if you say jiu-jitsu, most people didn't know like what
They think
exactly.
UFC.
Yeah, they think
just think UFC
They
right
think you
away.
fight people. They are like, they think it's a striking art.
Yeah.
We fight people, obviously.
Right.
It's not they think you like, you're getting it's a striking art. That's just what most people think. Now I think most people know jiu-jitsu is like, is a grappling art.
Yeah.
They have an idea of what it is, when a few years ago they had no clue. Most people didn't know how to pronounce it. I think a lot of people still don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, a lot of people, they're like, yeah, that Jew whatever shit. And then it's like, it's called jiu-jitsu. And they're just like, yeah, that shit. And I was like, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, well, okay, motherfucker, relax. It's kind of cool because when I went to ADCC last year to go watch, I met these two guys, and one dude trained, one dude didn't. And he's like, yeah, I had an extra ticket. I brought my boy because I wanted him to see what the Olympics of grappling is.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I don't understand any of this shit. I'm like, dude, you're in for a fucking show. Like, this is like the mecca. Like, you make it to here, you're one of the baddest motherfuckers in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, even if you lose in the first round, you're one of 16 dudes in that weight class to step up.
For sure, if you make it to actual ADCC.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're one of the best in the world if you're in that bracket.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're just a one and done in that tournament because it's,
getting there is extremely difficult.
Because, like, you can take any match from that in the first round, and it could be like a fight to win main event or like a Tezos main event.
Yeah, WNO main event.
Yeah, and that's what I was explaining to the guy. And then it's funny because I'm walking around the arena, and I run into them again, and it's like the second day, and I'm like, so what do you think, dude? He's like, I'm signing up on Monday. And I was like, let's fucking go.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's really cool when I get to meet people that are scared to try it, and I'm like, dude, just come in for a class.
Yeah.
And it's like, you'll see the community aspect, the family aspect of we're here to help you.
Yeah.
You know, I remember, I think it was like a fundamentals class, and then normally I'll go with like one of our like blue belts, but I'm like, you know, there's a new guy there, or like, there was 3 new people, so like Austin was showing them how to just do like a basic like hip escape. So then I'm over here with like the guy next to him, showing him how to shrimp, how to get on his side, you know.
Yeah.
And like he's like, man, like thank you for your help. I'm like, dude, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
You know, like being a color belt now, it's like you have it's like an untold like responsibility to the newer guy. Like, hey, let me help you.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we just promoted a guy to blue belt, and he's a really great guy. His name's Bernie. Spanish dude, has a heavy accent. I told him, like, I can't go out with you, dude, because you'll just have all the chicks around you. And but he, like,
Bernie.
yeah, good old Bernie from Spain. I explained to him like what it means to be a blue belt now. I was like, you can physically take a dude that walks into the gym who's never trained and just do whatever you want with him.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know, man. Like, it's tough. I'm like, you're thinking of rolling with me versus like rolling with some random dude in the street. I'm like, you're a blue belt.
Yeah.
Like, it's just enough said. You've put in the time and effort. And I'm like, but now you have a responsibility. When you see a new guy struggling, you know what needs to be done. You tell them.
For sure.
You know, no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, just be there to kind of not necessarily like coach them, but just be like, hey, do it this way. You know,
Yeah.
just simple stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And to me, like, I'll never overstep my boundaries as like, oh, hey, I'm coaching. When Austin's there, he's a teacher.
For sure.
He's
Yeah.
professor for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm just there to help him, you know, where he has to show everybody this technique, and maybe the new guys kind of need to slow it down.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? He was doing it this way. You put your hand here, you put your foot here.
Yeah.
And that's like, to me, like, that's the most important thing. No matter what, like, yeah, I'm getting ready for competitions, this and that, but at the end of the day, like, I'm here to also help people get better.
Yeah.
You know,
The community aspect of jiu-jitsu is incredible.
and the family aspect too. Like,
Yeah.
when I was teaching class yesterday, my parents came in to watch me.
Oh, really? Huh, nice. That's cool.
And like with your event, like when I did your first ever Butter Smooth,
Yeah.
I thought it was cool that your mom was right there doing
Yeah.
the ticket fees, the shirt stuff.
Yeah.
And it was really cool because when I saw her again for this last one, she gave me the biggest hug.
Wow.
I adore your mom, by the
Oh,
way.
wow, thank you.
Yeah, your parents are just great.
Oh, awesome.
She's like, hey, hon, good to see you. She's like, you're not competing? I'm like, no. I'm like, my teacher's competing, so it's probably an upgrade today. Because like as soon as you got Austin on the bracket, I'm like, dude, you don't need me. Like you got him. You got
Yeah.
him and Nez.
Yeah.
That's enough. But like I was like, I'm really proud of Joey, what he's doing, and that's really great you support him, because it's kind of hard for like, and I'm sure you can attest to this too, with moms watching their sons compete. Like, she's seen you compete, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And, you know, you're still her little boy and stuff like that. Like, my mom, I remember when she came to Gee State and, you know, I had a tough first match. I was ahead on advantages. There was no points. And the dude, like, caught me in a triangle, and then there was, like, 30 seconds left. And, like, everybody thought I was about to go out. And somehow I, like, rolled out of it and got out.
Oh, nice.
And I just see her face at the end of the match just, like... and I was pissed. I'm like, this motherfucker got lucky. And she's like, you're okay? Like, she pats me on the head, and when I'm sitting down, I'm like, no, I'm pissed. I'm about to kill this dude in the finals. Go out in the finals, win 13-0. She's like, you weren't kidding. I'm like,
go.
And but it's cool to, like, in that aspect, like, having people in my life that support what I'm trying to do.
That is so cool. Yeah. It's very cool. And yeah, she's in massive support in my life as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
that's so cool that you have that.
Important.
Yeah,
it's
nice.
very important where, you know, and it's sad that like a lot of parents will never understand what it means to their kids to do this because they just never really took an interest in it. Because I've seen it happen before.
Yeah.
Luckily, never like in my academy or like in the past, like with our kid, like the kids' classes at Seoul, you know, yeah, the parents are there to watch and, you know, they're on their phone, but they actually do care about like seeing their kid grow.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
and there's a spectrum of it too, you know,
Yeah.
of good parents and shitty parents and
Yeah.
all of the above.
Yeah, and like thankfully, like everybody's always interested. Like with Southwest, I think we had like maybe 8 kids competing.
Oh, nice.
So
That's
like
awesome.
the parents are like watching their kids. Like, how can we get them to get better? Well, just make sure they're eating and, you know, getting their rest. And I remember I had to teach that class because Austin, I believe, was doing something. And I just remember I'm like, all right, guys, get a good night's rest. Listen to your parents. Eat something good before the comp. No matter what happens, we're all proud of you. because at the end of the day, like, you still got to let them know, like, hey, it takes a lot of courage just to go out there and compete.
For sure, yeah.
You know?
And it is interesting, too, with the kids. Like, they get super emotional just getting out there.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's, like, even in class, like, when a kid's, like, crying, and, like, I'm the oldest of 4 kids.
Yeah.
So, like, my big brother instinct's like, yeah, it's okay, buddy, you know? But then they're also, like, just crazy. Like, I saw a kid, like, in a full-on, like, arm bar with his arm, and I'm like, hey, that's a tap. Like, stop. He's like, I didn't tap. I'm like,
no, that's a tap.
I'm like, you're 7 years old, dude. Like, no.
Yeah, and they're hyper flexible, too. So, like,
but I'm like,
you don't let the arm break.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm like, I want you to do this for a long time. So I'm like, when you get caught like that, you need to yell tap or tap your partner.
Yeah.
And, like, I look at his partner, I'm like, no, you're fine.
Yeah.
But, like, when it comes to the kiddos, I really have to pay attention because these kids will damn near, like,
kill each other. Yeah.
Like, attempt murder on each other. And I'm like, geez, man. So, like, my credit to, like, Austin, the way that he handles that, and as well as Jimmy, like, when he was handling the kids' classes at my old school, I'm just like, man, like, I don't know how you do it. You know, the whole, like, not being a drill sergeant and making sure that the kids are actually interested.
Yeah. Having fun, but also, too,
like,
you have to put your foot down and have discipline with them.
Yeah, like, I think I was showing, like, a technique, and I saw them kind of goofing. I'm like, hey, what did I just show? And they're just like, I'm like, that's what I thought. I'm like, pay attention now.
Yep.
And then it's like, all right.
Yeah, it's good to have both. You can't just let them run rampant.
No, you can't. It's, you know, it's not daycare. You know, it's a martial arts school. So getting that opportunity, that was more nerve-wracking than teaching adults.
Really? Teaching the kids?
Yeah, because, like, you know, you don't want to be like, oh, he's mean.
Usually their parents are right there, like, watching you, too.
Yeah, because, like, I remember they all walked in just, like, with the, who the fuck's this guy?
Who's this guy?
It's like, he's not a black belt, you know? Thankfully, it wasn't the case for that. Like, they were all very friendly.
Yeah.
And I think, I believe Austin told me, like, one of the parents was like, yeah, and he's like, that Fred guy, he's really nice. You can tell he really cares about, you know, everybody growing.
Yeah.
So to me, I was like, that was the biggest sigh of relief because it was the first time I ever taught a kids class.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Yeah. So adults, it's like, hey, you guys know what to do. I'm going to show you this.
Yeah.
You know.
With kids, it's different.
Kids, like, they have the attention span of a fly. You know. You could show, like, a choke, and I'm like, what did I just show? Oh, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
It's like, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is interesting, too. It's such a good thing for kids, I think, because in contrast to something like soccer, kids soccer, where they don't even keep a score and they know who wins at the end because maybe one time, like, one team ran it up, but both teams are technically winners at the end. There's no pretending there was 2 winners in jiu-jitsu.
No.
When you go out and compete, one person wins and one person loses.
Yeah. And
it's important to understand that life has losses. You lose in life. That's just part of growing.
True.
Any difficult thing you do, you're going to have trouble along the path.
No, and that's, like, 100% true. Like, obviously, we're always proud of them, no matter how they do.
Of course, yeah.
You know, it's never about, like, the result. Obviously, that's just part of the sport. There's always a winner and a loser. There's no, like, participation trophies. It's either you make it to, you know, the finals, or you place, or you don't. So that's what I always appreciated about, like, combat sports as a kid too, like wrestling in middle school, wrestling in high school. Like, if I suck, dude, I don't deserve to be on that podium. You know, if I don't win, hey, you know,
there's no cheating it. There's no. You know, there's no getting around it. It's either you put in the work, you execute it, or you didn't.
Yeah, and like with my dad, when I was wrestling in high school, that was, like, the toughest he was ever on me in sports. Like, I played baseball because he did. I played football. But when it came to wrestling, he was, like, fully invested. Like, he's like, man, like, maybe you might get a scholarship. I'm like, I don't know about all that, man. I was wrestling overseas in Japan, you know. I had, like,
were you?
Yeah, we were stationed out there for about 3 years.
Huh,
so I did a lot of, like, freestyle out there.
Wow.
I had, like, a D3 offer, but it wasn't even, like, a full ride. And I was like, dude, I don't want to go to fucking Iowa. I mean,
it was in Iowa?
Yeah, like, I thought about it.
Iowa's got good wrestling.
Oh, no, it does. But the thing is, like, out of state, you know, tuition. And, like, my parents are, you know, they have 3 other kids besides me.
And it's fucking Iowa, too.
Yeah,
I mean, like, it's like San Diego.
I think about it now, I'm like, fuck, Iowa sounded kind of nice. But then I was like, but there wouldn't have been shit for me to do, man.
Yeah. That wouldn't be my go-to state to move to.
Honestly, no.
For wrestling, I'm sure, obviously they've got or
Yeah.
at least, is it Iowa or Iowa State?
Both.
Yeah,
They're
have like
both.
fantastic wrestling
But
programs.
that's the D1 level.
Yeah.
But that's wrestling country, and to me, like, if it wasn't a full ride, I'm not gonna go because I'm not gonna put my parents in debt like that. You know?
For sure.
Especially when they have 3 other kids to take care of. So,
Were you born in Arizona?
Yeah, I'm from Maryville.
Maryville, Arizona?
Maryville, Phoenix. Yeah, like West Side Phoenix.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Basically, you can call it Maryville, Arizona. You know, right
What
there.
cross streets around is that?
51st and Thomas.
Oh, okay.
So the hood.
Avenue?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So the hood.
Yeah.
But when I was born, it was right before my dad went into boot camp for the Marine Corps. So to say, I always say I'm from there because I was born in that area, but I was raised around the world because born there, and next thing you know, we moved to Oceanside. I was like maybe 8 months old when we moved to Cali, and then we moved to Rhode Island. My the second oldest, he was born there. Moved back to San Diego. My sister was born, and then we lived in Yuma for 3 years, and then we went from Yuma to Okinawa, Japan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so and then from Okinawa back to Phoenix.
How old were you when you were in Japan?
I was 15.
Oh, wow. Do you speak any Japanese?
A little bit.
No way.
Yeah, I'm not fluent in that shit. That's
How do you
all.
say cheers in Japanese?
Shit. Fuck, what was it? No, it's not Gumbai. That's Chinese.
Oh, Gumbai? Gumbai.
Yeah.
I guess you weren't drinking age at the time.
No. it was something crazy. I've heard all these crazy drunk Japanese guys fucking say it. But man, I miss it out there though, man. Like if I get an opportunity to go out there, I'm definitely
Going back to Japan?
yeah. And maybe
What part of Japan?
Okinawa. So like Okinawa's a little tropical island. It's like Hawaii, you know.
It's an island?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's its own island from like Tokyo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was fun, man. Like when you got to play in varsity sports because it was a military school.
Yeah.
We would have to fly out to like go play football
Oh,
or
that's
go to a
badass.
wrestling tournament. So
Wow.
I went to Tokyo about like 5 times. I've been to Seoul, Korea like 3
Oh,
times.
very cool.
Yeah. So
What an interesting place to grow up.
yeah, man.
So was it a lot of also Americans or English speakers, or were there a
Yeah.
lot of Japanese people, or a combination?
like a combination, and it was kind of cool because like
So they didn't like teach you Japanese?
I mean I took classes, you know, very simple, like
Just kind of like how we take Spanish here.
yeah,
and
like learning like the
kinda
different
learned a
ways how
little
to
bit.
greet them, and you're always like bowing was like just a necessary thing that I did. And then when I came
Oh,
to the
really?
States, I'm like thanking the Walmart like cashier, like, oh, thank
Bowing.
you. And then she's just like, did you just bow? I'm like, I am so sorry. My mom's like, did you just bow? I'm like, yeah, it's just because it's a sign of respect to
Yeah.
them.
And is it over there if you don't bow? It's like, all right, dick.
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of like saying thank you, you know.
Yeah. Like you hold the door to someone, like they don't say thank you. It's like, okay,
It's
asshole.
like, okay, fuck me
Yeah.
then, right?
Yeah, it's
no,
like, all right, don't bow,
but-
you fucking dick.
But the one thing I loved about the community there, and it's kind of crazy to think about, like being in the States, you'd see little like 6-year-old kids walking to school, like, and I mean miles, like they would have
By
to
themselves?
by themselves.
Wow.
Like a whole little pack of kids. And
A little flock.
yeah, pretty much. And it was crazy because my mom's like, that shit would never happen in Arizona or like any
yeah.
state. I'm like, no. And then like we looked into it. It's like, no, like, everybody feels the responsibility. If a kid gets hurt or if something like someone's harassing a kid, like everybody will step in to protect those kids as well as here. But like, it's like that kind of safety, like that these kids can go to school and then go back home and not worry about, like this kind of stuff that we have to worry about here.
Yeah.
It just shocks me. And then,
Like the whole culture is like more about the kids. It's like that's a kid, we need to
well,
protect
like
them.
just like as well as like just respecting everybody there. Like you see your elders, like I remember sitting on a train. You see an older person, like customary, you give up your seat to the older person.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, it's like I think a lot of different cultures are so much more about the family and the collective. When in the United States, it's about the individual and like your own person is like the most of everything. We took a Uber down to the comedy show yesterday.
Yeah.
And our Uber driver was from West Africa.
Really?
Yeah, and he was
cool.
Yeah, he was telling us about how like the difference between like American culture and African culture, and he's like, what over there when you turn about 20, you start taking care of your parents.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, like that, like
Yeah.
it's like you once your kids are that age, now it's their turn to take
Take
over.
care of you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know live together for a long time. The whole community helps out. Everything is much slower pace. You know, you can like whole families live together. He's like over there, you can have 8, 10 kids. It's okay because you have time to deal with them all. Here, he's like 2, 3 max. Like you
Yeah,
got.
no. He's like, it's
See,
enough for me.
yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
cool, man. That's cool. You got to meet like somebody from a different culture like that.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah. It was kind of funny because at my bar job there was these two Japanese people, and like they didn't speak a lick of English, but they wanted alcohol, and I'm kind of explaining, and then like like how you can say like, oh, like here, like you say dozo, and like you hand them the menu, and like my cocktail waitress, she's like, "Did you just speak fucking Japanese?" I'm like, "I said like 2 words," and she's like, "I forgot you lived out there." I'm like, "Yeah," and like I spoke a little bit to them
Yeah.
just to kind of teach them like, "Oh, like this is where the bathroom is. This
Yeah.
is what this is our beer." And like they were just so, and then like guess what they did?
What?
They fucking bowed.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
thank
oh,
you,
I was like, oh, of course. And then I walked out, and
How do you
then
say
like,
thank you in Japanese?
just arigato.
Oh, arigato.
Yeah, and then
Arigato.
like, yeah, right. And then I walked away, and like all my regulars were like, this fucking cultured motherfucker over here. He's like, he watched this fucking anime every day, so of course he knows. They're like, no, he's lived out there with
Wow.
these people.
What does domo arigato mean? Thank you very much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
huh.
just thank you very much. Just
Yeah.
just adding
Domo
like.
arigato, Mr. Roboto.
Dude, that's like when I would say it, I would like have to catch myself not saying Mr. Roboto as a kid. But yeah, man, it was kind of cool to like kind of show off like a little flex to like my, I guess, language skills.
That's so cool. You can learn so much from traveling from different cultures. Just understanding that different places do things differently.
Yeah,
and
man.
so much of like who you are as a person is influenced by the environment you grew up in.
Yeah, and then like for me now, like I still want to keep traveling. My goal, I kind of been told like, you want to go to Brazil? I'm like, dude, I want to go where the sport is like very popular and just spend
To
like
Brazil?
yeah, like spend a few days out there just to train with these guys. I know I'll probably have to protect myself because I've seen the training sessions there, and I know they'll try to rip my head off. But fuck it, whatever. As long as I'm friendly, hopefully they don't kick my ass too
Yeah.
bad. But yeah, Japan's definitely on my top of my list to go back to, especially Okinawa because it's been about 10 years. We had our 10-year reunion for my high school like back in May. It wasn't really a reunion. It was more like a Skype, like a FaceTime session. But like seeing people I haven't seen in like 10 years.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then they're like, "Holy shit, dude, you're still doing this?" I'm like, "Yeah, still wrestling, still grappling." And they're like, "That's pretty badass that you kept up with it." I'm like, "Well, there was a point where I wasn't doing it for a while, and I got really out of shape, and then I was like, fuck this, like I need to get back into this."
So what was that about? Like, why did you stop?
So like a lot of people, like after like high school, if you don't go to college, like in wrestling, you kind of just stop. And then, coming back to the States, I ate like shit and, gained probably about like 40 pounds. And then I was like, well, all I can do is just like weight lift and like run. And that's all I did.
Yeah.
And then finally, like when it was that time to, thinking about the whole law enforcement thing, then I was like, you know what? I need to get back into this shit. And then sure enough, like once maybe 6 months went by, I'm like, yeah, I'm back in this shit for sure. Once I got my blue belt, I was like, okay, cool. Like this is cool. I'm not catching blue belt. Once I got to purple, I'm like, yeah, I'm committed to this shit.
Yeah.
Like when I explained it to the new blue belt Bernie. I'm like, you get your blue belt, it's like a relationship, It's nice. You could kind of quit it, but you can't. You get your purple belt, okay, shit's getting serious.
Yeah.
You get your brown belt, you're engaged to the sport. You can't fucking leave now.
Yeah.
You get your black belt, you're married to it for life. So yeah, like when I got to purple, it was like, yeah, I'm in this shit for the long run. And then watching these big tournaments, watching ADCC, I'm like, fuck, dude, if I just have a chance to do that, it'll be awesome for me. Even if I, don't win that tournament, at least getting to that stage and just saying like, yeah, I did that. I like to think like in the future I'll have kids one day.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is like leaving a legacy for them too.
That's cool.
Like, wow, my dad got to do this,
Yeah.
and this, and he's, now he's retired and he's chilling.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's stuff like that. But kids, that's a few years down the road. I'm still trying to get my shit together. But yeah, So it goes back to what do I want to leave when it's my time to go? Hopefully, like in 70 years, you know, I want to leave my mark here. Just like how my grandpa, who passed away 4 years ago, he, you know, he's from Bakersfield, and
Bakersfield,
Bakersfield, California. And when he passed away at like 93. So he lived a long life. I still have the newspaper article because it was so incredible. He was so loved in that little town right there. He was like the unofficial mayor of that city.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so it's like, you know, normally like when people pass away in newspapers, they, you know, have like, you know, their birthday, like who they are. They had like a whole section in the paper for him.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like beloved local passed away at 93. And like they rattled off like Army veteran, this and that. So I'm like, man, like that's cool. And that's not from him like doing sports or anything. That's just him being a genuine human being.
Yeah.
And like, you know, obviously the Army veteran, he fought in Korea. And so I'm like to myself when I look at that, I'm like, you know, this is something I want to do too, you know, for my home, where it's like, wow, he did all this and is, you know, however long, you know, we have to live, you know, tomorrow's never guaranteed. So doing that, and then in sports, but also at the same time being like, wow, this guy was actually a genuine human being. He loved his family, he loved his friends, he loves everybody. So that's, you know, my take on it, you know, for like on a personal, like serious level.
Yeah.
You know, not just in sports. So
You're gonna do something legit.
yeah, and if it impacts, you know, like 25 people, that's 25 people that I helped out.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's cool. It's very important to have big goals and try to accomplish them.
Yeah.
And that's cool to leave a legacy for your kids too. I also want like a bunch of kids and
Bunch of little Joeys.
running around. Yeah. And one of the reasons is because my grandma was one of 7 children.
Wow.
And yeah, she and my grandpa moved from England to the United States because he can make more money over here when my mom was like 10 or 12.
Wow.
And so my mom grew up in like Indiana, Illinois area and then moved over here. And so my whole upbringing from a young age was like and my dad's from New York. So like both my parents were from different places and then their families like from other places. And
Yeah,
so,
my mom's from New York.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Nice. Yeah. But so like locally, I really didn't have a big family, you know, especially of people who were like blood related to me. It just wasn't the case for most of my upbringing. I go to, when I was like 16 or 17, we go to England for the first time since my mom has left when she was like 12.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and we meet because my grandma was one of 7 children. She was the only one of the 7 that went to the U.S. The other 6 children had kids, and they had kids, and you know, there's a massive family over there. And we go to this like family, you know, it was like a reunion because we were in town and everything, and there was maybe 80 people there of like, this is my cousin, this is my aunt, this is this person.
Wow.
And I was
that's
like,
a lot.
yeah, I was like, that's fucking crazy. And I'm like, all because like 2 people fucking created this like army. I was like, I want to be like just an old man with an army of like little ones under me.
Just be another Haleo where you have 7 kids like training jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get them all into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, like for me and my mom had this talk. She's like, you know, like, I know you love the sport, but like, let's say like your kid doesn't want to do it. And I'm like, well, I would never push him to
He
like
doesn't
compete.
get to eat then.
No, no, no. I'm trying to
He
be.
sleeps on the floor until he
No.
can complete a triangle.
Oh my god, that's terrible. I would never be that parent because I've seen those parents. Like my 13-year-old brother, he just got done playing Pop Warner, and I saw like some toxic parents. Man.
No, it's you have to let it happen naturally.
Yeah.
If they don't want to do it, then they don't do it.
I would put him in it, like if I have a son, and the reason why I say son because I mean most of my dad's side of the family, like he has only one sister and he has like 9 siblings.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's regardless who the girl is, like we're gonna probably first kid's gonna probably be a boy.
Yeah.
For me, like I told her, I'm like, you know, if he wants to be an artist, that's cool, but he's gonna learn how to defend himself too because I'm like, I was never raised soft by my dad, and nor would I would. It'd be a disservice if I coddled my child.
For sure. As a male, I think it's important to be competent in yourself and your physical capability.
Yeah.
Your physical ability to defend yourself. It's like an important part of being a male.
Yeah.
Just like how fucking reading is part of being a human, or like cooking is part of being a woman. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. He said that, not me.
No, but I think it really is an important thing because if you're a defenseless man, then you're weak in a lot of ways. Like even if you're a big person, you could be physically weak, and it's not good.
And it's not like with me and my dad, my biological father's relationship, it was always stern, you know, because he was in the Marines. My mom would always like be like, man, I just remember him being so tough on you. And I'm like, no, but it made me tougher, you know, because I don't feel weak. I, put myself out there in the sense of like, I know I can handle myself in this situation with a different human being if it got to that point. Normally I'm like a laid back guy. With her, with my mom, she was more like the nurturing, I love you. I mean, my dad loved me too, but it was more like, hey, men do this. I mean, I remember mowing the fucking lawn at like 6 years old when I could reach the fucking handles, learning how to change a tire, learning how to change oil in the car when I was like 10, and learning how to cook a meal, for my siblings, because it's important.
Yeah.
These are these life skills that this generation that I feel like lack, you know. But like I still have like my side, my different side of, being an alpha male, right? With my mom, like love movies, would watch whatever fucking movie would be on with her. Love cooking for some reason. I was on the culinary club in high school, and they just threw everybody off. They're like, you're the fucking captain of the wrestling team, and you're over here in a fucking chef's coat and little hat and learning how to cook, a steak. I'm like, hey, it's a life skill that pays off later in life. So like, I guess like having like that sensitive side as well, because I was a sensitive kid, as growing up, but still being like, hey, I still got to be a man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's important to be both. Like every person has like a feminine energy and a masculine energy, and if you neglect one of them completely, then what the hell is that? Oh, that's my fucking.
Is that your doorbell?
No. It's the speaker actually for some reason.
Oh.
But every person has a masculine energy and a feminine energy, and
Definitely.
if you neglect one completely, then you're not a complete human.
Yeah.
And you can't overcorrect in becoming too male, or like everything has to be like zero emotion. Like we're people, even though you're a man. Like men are emotional as well, and it's important to understand.
Yeah, man. It definitely is. Like it's okay to be sensitive and vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like right now with my grandmother, she's 83 right now. She's developing dementia right now. So it hit me hard one day, like in front of my mom. Like normally I don't cry in front of her as much, but it hit me because I saw her kind of, like I love her to death. And every time I see her, she's happy to see me, but I'm like, fuck, dude, like I'm not ready for this. And I remember crying like in the room, and my mom's like, you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not ready for this shit, but, I'm just enjoying whatever time I have with her.
Yeah.
She's my best friend in the world.
Your grandma is?
Yeah.
How old is she?
She's 83. Yeah. She can't really walk. We have to help her to the bathroom, help her to the car. I've taken her to doctor's appointments, and she's like, I don't want to go. And I'm like, you got to go. They got to take a scan of you. But, we handle it the best we can. I mean, I'll drop anything. I could be on my way to an open mat. If I get a call from my mom, like, hey, I need your help, I'm fucking taking off.
Yeah.
That's how that goes.
Well, it's a great thing that you're able to experience so much life with her already.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing, my parents had me a little bit later in their life. And so my grandparents, to be honest, I had this really like callous view on grandparents dying, because by the time like I was an adult and other people's grandparents were dying, I was like, who the fuck cares? They're grandparents, they die. And because when my grandpa died when I was 6, my other grandpa died probably around 10.
Oh man, I'm so sorry about that.
I mean, it's just like how it goes, they were all old and lived good lives, you know. And so my grandpa was fairly young. I mean, for dying, actually, he was, I think, in his young 70s. And which is pretty young. I think he had like a heart issue. But which is really unfortunate too that I couldn't know him more, because I mean I think he's like one of the great men in my lineage. Like he was born in Yugoslavia when it was still Yugoslavia, moved to England, had my mom and her sister over there, realized he could make more money coming to the States and, you know, uprooted, and doing a move like that is like, it takes an incredible amount of gall.
And as well as like probably like his family time, like, why are you going to America? And this and that. Because that's essentially like what happened with my mom's parents. My mom's mom, she's Puerto Rican, and my tata, my grandfather, he's Mexican. So they met in New York, and that's how they had my mom. So it's like they took a chance, you know.
Yeah, of coming to the States.
Yeah, and then that's great that your grandpa did that. Because you know, I'm sure his family's like, no, don't go there. You know, they'll hate you. Yeah, and it's like, no, I went there and I raised a really great family. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I think that's like what's like in me is like that fucking immigrant mentality of like, of just like, you know, making it happen no matter what.
No matter what, like no matter what obstacle, no matter what, you know, these people that are trying to bring you down, just keep going.
Yeah,
you know?
It's interesting being born in the States. Like it's a different, I guess, experience than like if you're. I can't really imagine thinking that like, you know, shit's not good over here. I need to go somewhere that's like a whole different country just so I can make something. It's just I don't see the opportunity here. I need to make something happen. And 3 out of my 4 grandparents, like my mom and grandma were born in England. My grandpa was born in Croatia. My other grandpa was born in Germany. Or it's now Croatia, but then it was Yugoslavia. And my other grandpa was born in Germany, and the other grandma was born in...
You just had tough genes, man.
Yeah, just like so many people came here from other countries and trying to make something happen. And it's something, I don't know, it's really cool. I think it's like the work ethic that like is instilled in my mom, and that's like what's instilled in me. And
same. Yeah, because like for me, my parents had me when they were seniors in high school, you know. So...
Wow,
like,
very young.
Yeah, like when they were 18. So like when I go out with my mom, like I take her out to lunch, they think I'm her husband.
Yeah.
I'm like, this must be nice for you. She's like, oh, I love it. I'm like, I bet you do. I'm like, it's fucking terrible for me, man. I took her to the movies like one year. I think we saw like Bohemian Rhapsody, and she's like, oh, my little baby, like holding me close, and like the cute like popcorn girl is like right there. I'm like, you're such a cockblock. She's like, I cockblocked with the shit out of my kid. I'm sorry. And I'm like, thanks, mom.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, and it's like,
that's funny.
But like, you know, she does that, but she's like the ultimate hype woman, you know.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah, she always supports like any little things. Like when they came to watch me teach, it was like the best feeling in the world.
That is really cool.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean.
Yeah, having a supportive family, and like family in general is like, it's irreplaceable. There's so much. There's so much to it that is like that you can't get it in any other aspect of life. Yeah. And so that's why I want to have 11 kids.
I don't know about 11, man. I think I might be done after like 2. I'd be like, listen, you little assholes, you're getting on my fucking nerve. And then I know like my kids are gonna be fucking huge, man. We were not born small children. I was born like 9 pounds 3 ounces. The youngest, believe it or not, was the biggest baby. He was 10 pounds 4
10 pounds.
Yeah, they had to cut my mom
thick bodied. Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's so funny because like he's thick bodied as a baby, and then I see him, he's this tall, lengthy kid playing wide receiver, and I'm like,
that's funny.
I'm like, bro, like where the fuck did the size go? But yeah, and then. Like with me, I have a big ass dome head, so I'm like, that poor girl, man. That kid ain't gonna have a small brain, bro. I'm like, I'm sorry, babe. But yeah, man, like, damn, 11 kids.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, 11, maybe like 4.
Okay. I was gonna say 11 kids. Your poor future wife, dog. Shit, man.
I know Taylor's tiny too, so
yeah, she's not she's probably gonna listen to this podcast. Fucking 11 kids, Joey. Shout out to Taylor.
I've told her that before. She's a sweetheart.
She is. She's the best. Yeah, man. The whole family thing. Like, I look forward to it. And then like with Austin, with his little baby, who's like freaking adorable. I would, like literally protect her at all costs.
That one's gonna be a unit too.
Oh, dude, I dread the day she gets a gi on. Like when we did our little open mat for the holiday, and we had his best friend Jonathan from Fury BJJ, Jonathan Alvarez. Yeah. My hermano, as I call him. Like we take the photo and they put her little gi on. I'm like, dude, like in a year's time, like even at 1 year old, I'm fucking terrified. She's just gonna walk on the mat and just armbar everybody. Shit.
That's funny.
Yeah, man. But no, when I see him with like his little family, I'm like, man, that's goals. Like, their little family.
It's very cool.
Yeah, and just how connected they are, because like his wife Lauren's there watching them teach with their little baby, and they're always together, which is great. And I'm like, man, like that's awesome. Like that's what I want one day. Like just a girl that understands like, hey, this is what he loves to do. Like me, I'm a simple kind of guy, dude. I don't go out as much. Like I'd rather just chill at the house, watch movies, make dinner.
Yeah.
I do appreciate like a nice like going out to dinner, dressing up and stuff like that. But like going to like a nightclub, it's not for me, man.
Yeah, me as well.
Yeah.
I did that like in my early 20s and stuff, and like it's just not fun.
Yeah, I think the last time I went out was like with the boys, like I think with like Jimmy and Irving for their birthday like last year, and then even then I was like the fucking dad of the group. I'm always the DD. Like I'll always volunteer.
Yeah.
And like they have
an occasional celebration or something like that. Those are fun for sure.
Yeah, dude. Like with Nogi Worlds coming up, like I told Austin, I'm like, if you win, like we're fucking destroying Vegas. And he's like, oh, dude. He's like definitely. Same with me. Like
exciting. Are you doing Nogi Worlds?
I am.
Awesome. I'll be there as well.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited about this. It's my
Arizona's
first time.
Gonna show up and fucking represent.
Let's do it, man. I'm excited, man. It's my first ever like world championships ever doing something like this big. So Vegas is gonna be fun. Go out there, kick some ass, and then go party after.
Nice.
And by party, I mean we're going to an ice cream parlor and just destroying all the Sundays. But yeah, like if Lord willing, all the training pays off and I do well, I'll probably get a little tipsy with
a little testy.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
It's Vegas. Yeah, man. It's gonna be a good time though, and I'm bringing my little brother with me to come watch. So
nice. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. Yeah, I'm gonna go out and do it as well.
Good, man. You'll do great.
Yeah, thank you. Great. Yeah, you will as well. I'm excited.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Let's go out there and get after it.
Absolutely.
Well, you wanna? We're getting close to the time to start going to open mat and stuff. Got to start getting ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on.
No, thanks for having me, brother. It's a big honor, man.
For sure. Thank you. It's an honor having you. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, brother.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate it.